Hey guys, I want to talk to you about Bitcoin prices. People are too much in the weeds right now. They're saying Bitcoin went down because South Korea is stopping Bitcoin, or this famous technology mogul has bought more, so therefore it's going up, all that kind of stuff. This is all in the weeds. You guys are not looking at the right stuff. I'm going to explain to you how you know where Bitcoin prices are going and why, how far, and when it begins and ends. It's going to come down to saturation and fragmentation. I'm going to explain all of this to you right now. And after you watch this, no one else is talking about this. Saturation and fragmentation. As soon as I explain what it is, you guys will understand what's going to happen with Bitcoin ahead of time, whether or not you should be involved with it, if you can make money from it. And I say Bitcoin, I'm talking about all cryptocurrencies, the entire concept. Bitcoin is one player in a bigger scheme of things. And so this is going to come down to understanding what is going to happen with all this stuff. People will always refer to the dot-com bubble, or they'll always refer to the tulip bulb mania. One thing that is similar is, sure, the price went up like crazy, maybe it'll come down like crazy. That's how people see it looking back over history. But what really happened? What was involved with the tulip bulb mania? Well, it wasn't 100% of the people. It wasn't 50% of the people, small fraction of people, sort of like a vocal minority. That's the same thing that's happening with Bitcoin right now in terms of the adoption levels, how many people are getting involved with it. But the point is, as I'm about to tell you, it all comes down to two things that you haven't heard about before from anyone else. This is something that it took me years to develop and decide on, the discussions with my team members, and we've been looking at all sorts of stuff. I've been talking about this in the media tons of times when Bitcoin was brand new, and now I'm talking about it now. When we come closer to the end of things, I'll explain to you two things: saturation and fragmentation. This will explain everything to you guys. Check this out. Now that looking back at the video while we're going to put it in post-production here, that it could have used a little bit more saturation, the video itself. But anyways, we're going to start with fragmentation. This is a more important concept, and it's working like this. If you've got one cryptocurrency, which will start with Bitcoin, and just so you guys know, whenever I say Bitcoin, generally in this video, I'm talking about all cryptocurrencies. I just say it by habit or by ease of language or whatever. Let's talk about it, for example, a pet rock. If there's only one company making pet rocks and they're making tons of money hand over fist, eventually what happens is then you have another company which says, oh, I'm going to do that too. And they start selling pet rocks. They're making tons of money, and somebody sees that, oh, the second company, the third company come along making pet rocks is making money. So then all of a sudden there's dozens of companies making pet rocks. And that number continues to grow, and the industry for cryptocurrencies continues to fragment until the actual piece, each piece, such as Bitcoin and Litecoin and Purecoin and Dash, they each are fragmented to different aspects of the entire business of cryptocurrencies. But that fragmentation is not limited. They say, well, Bitcoin's limited, so the value is in demand and it will increase. But the fragmentation is not limited, and there will always be more and more fragmentation as long as there's money to be made. That's why so many products will be saturated in the market. And so at the end of the day, you've got the fragmentation, which is going to make the potential market for total dollars put into cryptocurrencies being divided by more and more people, so that any one cryptocurrency has a small part of a large pie. But you can only cut so many slices of pie. You can only cut a cake so many times. This is exactly what's going to happen with cryptocurrencies. It's going to fragment to the point where it will continue and continually fragment until there's very little left in terms of total gains, total profits. And this is just something that happens again and again over history in every single situation where there is money to be made. Consider saturation. So the industry for cryptocurrencies has fragmented again and again to an unlimited degree. Now the saturation is about how many dollars can go into cryptocurrencies. If you think that cryptocurrencies are going to keep on rising in price, what do? You are maybe a teacher or a firefighter or an accountant, and you save up a bunch of money, but there's a limit to how much money you can raise. And there may be billions of dollars going into it, but there's a certain roof, there's a ceiling where all the people who want to be putting money into cryptocurrencies have done so. They have raised whatever money they can. If you want to buy some Bitcoin today, you've got to come up with $15,000. And maybe you can only come up with half of that, maybe you come up with twice that much, but then you've invested that money, and it's investment. You can't use that money anymore. You have to wait until the cryptocurrency itself grows, as it has been doing up to that point. But there will be a limit where you take your $50,000 that you saved up, you scraped up, maybe you mortgaged your house.
You put that money into Bitcoin, for example. You put it in there and the money sits there, and it may increase in value, may decrease in value, but the money is basically sitting there just as if it's a place where money goes to wait. Maybe it'll take years and it'll be worth more, but in the meantime, it's going to sit there regardless of how the cryptocurrencies react. Even if they go up and they double, you might not sell. Even if they cut in half, you might not sell. And the thing is that there's a limit to how much money can be gathered as a society of people who are going to invest in cryptocurrencies. And this doesn't just keep on going and going and going. It eventually reaches a point where everyone's maxed out. And I think right now, everybody who wants to invest in cryptocurrencies, they already know about them. Anyone who wants to invest, if they haven't done so yet, it's not very likely that they are going to be mortgaging their house and just getting into it now, except for the latecomers to the game, so to speak. Just like with the tulip bulb mania, the minority of the population was ones buying and trading tulip bulbs until it got to the point where it was more involved with the overall mass market. And this is when it came crashing down. When the people who shouldn't be getting involved with cryptocurrencies were getting encouraged by the continual media stories about it, they think they're missing out, and they think that it's easy money because it's gone up to this point so much so far. So therefore they think that it will continue to do that. So they gather whatever money they can, and that is a signal that you are at a market top. When people who shouldn't be investing in it are jumping on board, that's when the game is over. That is what's happening right now. I'm calling it. I'm saying that we are at the peak of cryptocurrencies. There's various ones which may increase in value, sure, of the various hundreds of them, but you are not going to see them as a group increase. You're going to see individual ones where you can point out and pick out, okay, so Ethereum increased from this point to that point, and then maybe Litecoin increased, but you're not going to see the overall industry increase together. And even the ones that do increase, such as Ethereum, Litecoin, as I just used as the example, but they could be any ones. If you pick out the ones that will win, then you'll probably do okay in the short term. But overall, when the market comes down and cryptocurrencies start coming down, they will all come down together. The concept will be what dies, not the actual individual coins so much. Just as there were 1,800 car companies in the United States back in the turn of the century, and some of them survived, two, and the vast majority, 99.99% of them went bankrupt. So if you got into the right two or three companies, sure, you made plenty of money. But if you didn't, just like everybody else, you lost your money. You lost, and it's so hard that the game now isn't about whether or not cryptocurrencies increase in price. The game is about now picking the one or two which are going to do okay, while the rest of them either disappear or decline in value or become a little bit more risky. And this is part of the reason that I think between the fragmentation, which is unlimited, and the saturation now, we are looking at what is absolutely a top in the cryptocurrency market. And I'm not saying it's going to crash tomorrow, but I'm saying months from now, and definitely a year from now, you're going to look back and say, wow, that was a crazy time. We got a little bit ahead of ourselves. And it'll be like most people think, wow, that was such a unique situation. But this has happened many times before. It's happening now right in front of our eyes, and we're seeing it with open eyes. And a lot of people are assuming that cryptocurrencies are going to change the world. But it's going to happen again, and it's going to happen again, and it's going to happen again. And for the rest of our lives, you're going to see these kinds of manias. And this is not the appropriate time for people to be mortgaging their houses to put it into something they don't understand because they think it's going to increase in value. This is a lot more chance of you losing money than making money starting now. I'm calling it. This is the worst time to be getting involved with cryptocurrencies.